Desserts feel harmless, sweet comfort after a meal. But for seniors, the wrong dessert can mean hidden sugars, sodium, and chemicals that quietly damage the heart, kidneys, and blood pressure. Labels say indulgence or low fat, but the truth is often dangerous. Today, we'll reveal 9 desserts you should avoid at all costs, and the 2 that are actually worth eating. Kicking off at number 9, pecan pie, the so-called holiday classic hiding a sugar trap. From the outside, it looks like comfort, golden crust, glossy pecans, and that syrupy shine that makes you think of family tables and warm kitchens. But peel back the layers and it's less grandma's recipe, more chemistry experiment. Most supermarket pecan pies aren't baked in small batches. They're churned out in factories, loaded with corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, and a cocktail of preservatives. One slice of mass-produced pecan pie can contain more sugar than 3 cans of Coke. That's not a treat. That's a direct hit to your pancreas. You won't believe how fake it tastes once you notice it. The filling is sticky, almost glue-like, with pecans glazed in an artificial gloss that coats your teeth. Instead of that roasted, nutty flavor, you're left with a cloying sweetness that lingers like cough syrup. Even the crust betrays you. It looks flaky, but it crumbles into an oily mess. This isn't homemade tradition. It's processed sugar dressed up as nostalgia. Sweet tradition or blood sugar bomb? For seniors, the risks go beyond a sugar rush. That syrup spike slams blood sugar levels, dangerous for anyone managing diabetes. The hydrogenated oils raise cholesterol, piling stress on arteries. And for those on heart medication, the sodium hidden in the preservatives makes those meds less effective. What's sold as a slice of Americana is, for older adults, a recipe for higher blood pressure and weaker kidney function. Preservatives used in these pies, like sodium benzoate, are restricted or banned in parts of Europe. Yet they're still allowed in American factory desserts. So the pie that's supposed to be family-friendly is safer overseas than it is in your own kitchen. Why do US brands get away with this? Think about it. Should dessert really need the same shelf-life tricks as a jar of paint? There is a fix, and it's simpler than you think. If you love pecan pie, make it at home with real ingredients: pecans, eggs, a little honey, maybe maple syrup for sweetness. You'll cut the chemical load, and slash the sugar while still getting that rich, nutty taste. Or swap it entirely for roasted nuts with a drizzle of dark chocolate. You'll actually enjoy the flavor instead of choking down syrup that sticks to your gums. That glossy pie was bad enough, but the next dessert skips ovens entirely. Shipped frozen, plated fresh, and fooling everyone. Number 8. Cheesecake that doesn't come from the oven, but from a freezer truck. Cheesecake is sold as the gold standard of indulgence. Creamy, rich, and smooth, topped with berries or chocolate drizzle, it's marketed as a decadent treat worth every bite. But at chain restaurants, what you get isn't baked fresh in the kitchen. It's thawed from a box. That slice of heaven is more like a frozen slab engineered to look elegant. Behind the menu lies the betrayal. Most chain cheesecakes are mass-produced in factories, then shipped frozen in bulk. They don't just contain cream and sugar. They're padded with stabilizers, gums, and emulsifiers that keep them intact through shipping and long storage. And yet customers are told it's made in-house. Spoiler, it isn't. One slice can clock over 1,000 calories. That's more than an entire fast food meal. Add in the hidden sodium, often over 700 milligrams per slice, and you're not just eating dessert. You're loading your bloodstream with a salt and fat bomb that pushes blood pressure higher. Is it dessert or is it frozen glue? You can taste the difference once you notice it. Real cheesecake is creamy and lush, with a crust that crumbles gently. These shipped-in versions? The texture is rubbery, the crust gummy like wet cardboard, and the flavor has a dull sweetness that lingers instead of satisfying. It's like eating a candle that's been sugared over. The glossy berry topping looks fresh, but hides syrups with dyes like Red 40 and Blue 1. Europe bans some of these additives. In the US, they're standard fare. For seniors, that's more than just a disappointment. High sugar levels spike blood glucose, risky for anyone with diabetes. The saturated fats push cholesterol into dangerous territory. And the sodium overload? It clashes with heart medications, making them less effective. What feels like a little indulgence is, in reality, a triple hit against heart, kidneys, and arteries. Reports from staff forums even admit the truth. Many restaurants just cut slices from frozen boxes and let them thaw in the cooler. Customers think it's baked that morning, but the reality is weeks, sometimes months, old product disguised with whipped cream. So what's the fix? If you love cheesecake, skip the chain version. Bake one at home with simple ingredients: cream cheese, eggs, and a touch of real sugar. Or go lighter. Plain Greek yogurt with honey and fresh fruit gives you that creamy indulgence without the sugar crash. You'll actually taste food, not chemicals. That frozen slice isn't cheesecake. It's processed filler shaped into a triangle. Rubbery cheesecake might stick to your teeth, but the so-called all-American apple pie hides something far worse inside. At lucky number 7, the so-called all-American apple pie. Apple pie is supposed to be the dessert that brings people together. Freshly baked crust, tender apples, the smell of cinnamon filling the kitchen. That's the promise. But the supermarket version isn't baked love, it's factory shortcuts wrapped in shiny packaging. The betrayal starts with the apples themselves. Instead of crisp slices that soften naturally in the oven, these are limp fruit bits soaked in syrup. They're drowned in a goo so thick it clings to your spoon like glue. The crust? Preserved with sodium benzoate, a chemical banned in parts of Europe for its potential health risks, but still waved through in the US. That golden flake isn't homemade magic. It's chemistry stretched to keep a pie fresh for weeks. Most people never learn how to fix this, but we'll break it down at the end of the video. Take a closer look and you'll notice it. The slices don't taste like apples anymore. They taste like syrupy mush with a faint chemical tang. The crust holds its shape, but instead of crumbling gently, it bends and cracks like cardboard. The smell that hits you isn't warm spice, it's cloying sweetness that lingers too long, like air freshener sprayed on fruit. Stat check. The FDA allows sodium benzoate in American food, but the European Food Safety Authority has far stricter rules. Here it ends up in pies, sodas, even condiments. Seniors already juggling medications don't need another chemical competing for attention in their kidneys. Add in the sodium load from these pies, sometimes over 400 milligrams per slice, and you've got a dessert that quietly sabotages blood pressure. Is this family tradition or chemical preservation on a plate? Reports from health inspectors have shown mass-produced pies traveling frozen, thawed in supermarkets, then rebranded as fresh. Staff forums even joked about pies being baked more by delivery trucks than by ovens. Shoppers think they're bringing home a piece of Americana, but they're actually buying processed mush sprayed with marketing. For seniors, this combo of preservatives and sugar isn't harmless indulgence. It stresses kidneys, dulls medication effectiveness, and raises risks of hypertension. One slice may not kill, but eaten week after week, it chips away at health in ways people don't see coming. So skip the box, slice real apples, dust them with cinnamon, and bake them at home. The natural sugars caramelize, the aroma fills your kitchen, and you'll know exactly what's in your pie. No benzoates, no chemical goo, just apples that taste like apples. That's not American tradition. That's a syrup-soaked lie in a tin. Sliding into number 6, the sundae that melts into a chemical soup. The commercials paint it as family fun. A tall glass, fudge dripping down the sides, a mountain of sprinkles and kids grinning ear to ear. That's the promise. But what you're really getting is a sugar bomb layered with chemicals. Start with the fudge. It's not homemade chocolate, it's corn syrup whipped with palm oil until it turns into something thick and glossy. The texture isn't smooth. It's more like oily sludge that clings to your spoon and leaves a greasy film on your tongue. Then come the sprinkles. Bright reds, neon yellows, greens that almost glow in the dark. Fun, right? Except they're made with dyes like red 40 and yellow 5. These same dyes have been restricted or outright banned in parts of Europe for health concerns, yet they still show up in American ice cream toppings without a warning label. Rainbow sprinkles or rainbow chemicals? The horror doesn't stop there. A typical sundae from a major chain can run you over 500 calories and more than 60 grams of sugar. That's more sugar than 2 cans of soda in one glass. Add in the whipped cream, often stabilized with gums and artificial flavorings, and you're looking at a dessert built more in a lab than in a kitchen. For seniors, that much sugar doesn't just cause a temporary spike. It pushes insulin resistance, fuels inflammation, and puts extra stress on the heart. For anyone on medication for blood pressure or cholesterol, it's like lighting a match near a leaking gas tank. One ex-employee on a staff forum once joked that the fudge came in buckets that smelled more like burnt syrup than chocolate. Customers never know because the ads keep the image polished and sweet. But behind the scenes, the toppings are as artificial as the plastic spoons used to serve them. Here's a quick stat. Red 40, one of the most common dyes in sundaes, has been linked to hyperactivity in children and flagged in multiple studies. Yet in the US, the FDA still allows it, while the European Union forces warning labels or bans it altogether. Think about that next time a rainbow treat slides across the counter. So what's the fix? You don't have to give up dessert completely. Swap the sundae for fresh fruit topped with a drizzle of real dark chocolate. You get the sweetness, the richness, and even antioxidants without the oily sludge or chemical crunch. That chemical carnival in a cup was messy, but the next tray of cinnamon rolls stays fresh far too long. Number 5. Cinnamon rolls that stay soft long after they should. The tray looks inviting, rows of golden spirals, frosting glistening under the store lights, ready to pull apart. You think bakery fresh, but the truth is those rolls were engineered in a factory to outlast a normal shelf life. They're not soft because they're fresh, they're soft because of chemicals. Let's start with titanium dioxide. That's not cinnamon or sugar. It's the same white powder used in paint and sunscreen. In cinnamon rolls, it makes the frosting bright and uniform. But do you really want the same additive used on drywall showing up in your breakfast pastry? Some European regulators said no and banned titanium dioxide as a food additive. In the US, it's still in play, and it doesn't stop there. Grocery store trays stay spongy for weeks thanks to dough conditioners and preservatives. The rolls look plump, but the texture is off. Instead of warm, fluffy bread, you get a clammy sponge that sweats oil into the bottom of the plastic tray. Break one apart and you'll see streaks of grease pooling in the folds. Fresh or factory sponge, the frosting tastes even worse. Sweet at first, then a sharp chemical tang that coats your tongue. It's not sugar and cream cheese, it's stabilizers and artificial flavorings whipped together to trick your taste buds. An ex-line cook on a food forum joked, "Those rolls could survive a nuclear winter," and it's not far off. Here's a number for you. A single cinnamon roll from a store-bought tray can hit 400 calories, with 20 grams of sugar and enough additives to make your kidneys work overtime. Seniors on heart or blood pressure meds face extra strain because the sugar spike sends insulin and blood pressure climbing, while the chemicals linger in the body longer than natural ingredients. The betrayal stings most because cinnamon rolls should be simple: flour, butter, sugar, spice. But the shortcut version turns comfort food into a chemical cocktail. For older adults, it's not just empty calories. It's a direct hit on arteries, kidneys, and long-term health. Don't give up cinnamon rolls altogether. Make them at home with real butter, cinnamon, and sugar. Even if you bake just once a month, you'll taste the difference instantly. Warm bread that tears apart clean. Frosting that's creamy instead of chemical. That's the kind of indulgence that feels good, not dangerous. It's a factory sponge with frosting that belongs in a paint aisle. Before we go further, want to stay ahead of food dangers and hidden risks? Hit subscribe now so you don't miss the facts that could protect your health. Coming in hot at number 4, ice cream that sizzles in a fryer. You hear the crackle before you taste it. A ball of ice cream dunked into bubbling oil, coated in crumbs that turn golden in seconds. It's marketed as exotic, a carnival thrill. But the fun vanishes once you know what's really happening inside that fryer. The promise is indulgence, a cold scoop wrapped in a crispy shell. The reality, double the calories, double the fat, and a layer of chemicals from oil that's been reheated and reused until it smells like burnt plastic. A single serving can pack more trans fat than an entire fast food burger meal. And trans fats aren't just bad fats, they're artery glue. They raise LDL cholesterol, lower HDL, and studies show they can literally double your risk of heart disease. Crispy treat or rancid oil sponge? Now picture this. You crack into the crust and a wave of chemical steam rises up. That sweet smell is often rancid fryer oil coating every bite of cream. Health inspectors have found fryers with oil so old it leaves a chemical film on the scoop. It's not vanilla, it's varnish. For seniors, the danger is bigger. Hidden fats clog arteries, raising blood pressure and stressing kidneys already strained by medication. The sugar only adds fuel, spiking insulin and feeding inflammation. It's a triple hit: sugar, trans fat, and rancid oil, all in one fun dessert. Fairs and chain restaurants reuse the oil dozens of times to save money. Each reheating breaks it down further, creating compounds tied to higher cancer risks. Europe has moved to restrict trans fats more aggressively, while the US still allows trace amounts. So you're trusting your arteries to a fryer that might be older than the booth itself. Is that really worth the thrill of a sizzling scoop? But here's the good news. You don't have to give up cold treats. Swap it for frozen yogurt topped with fresh fruit. You'll still get the chill, still get the sweetness, but none of the fryer sludge. Even dark chocolate drizzle is a safer topping, with antioxidants that support heart health instead of wrecking it. This isn't an indulgence. It's a rancid oil sponge pretending to be ice cream. But nothing prepares you for the dessert table that turns into a germ buffet. Number 3. The endless dessert buffet. Endless bacteria, too. It looks like heaven. Rows of glowing trays stacked with brownies, puddings, pies, and cakes under bright lights. The sign says, "All you can eat." The smell is sugar and whipped cream. But lean closer and you'll see what's hiding in plain sight. The betrayal is simple. They market it as a sweet paradise, a place where you can fill your plate with comfort. The reality? Lukewarm dairy sitting out for hours, tubs of chocolate pudding where bacteria multiply, and flies hovering around the edges of those once fluffy cakes. That mountain of whipped cream? It starts fresh, then sweats and collapses under heat lamps until it looks like foamy glue. Buffet inspections have caught it. Whistleblowers and health reports describe trays of dessert left uncovered, with temperatures dropping into the danger zone where bacteria thrive. At buffets, it's often much longer. Think about it. Seniors walk up expecting comfort food, but what they're really spooning up is risk. For older adults, the immune system is weaker. A stomach bug that's annoying for a 20-year-old can turn life-threatening for someone on blood pressure meds or kidney treatment. Foodborne illness doesn't just mean a bad night, it can mean hospitalization. Stale whipped cream smells sour, with that faint, spoiled milk edge. Cake slices sit out so long that the frosting turns gummy, sticking to your teeth like wax. Ever notice how the fruit toppings on cheesecake look glossy? That shine isn't freshness, it's syrup loaded with preservatives, often the same ones banned in Europe but still used here. Is it really all you can eat, or is it all you can risk? Here's the fix. Skip the buffet chaos. Instead, pick one fresh dessert at home. Bake apples with cinnamon, or whip up a simple yogurt parfait with berries. You'll get real flavor, safe temperature, and none of the bacterial roulette. That glowing dessert table isn't a sweet deal. It's a germ buffet dressed up in sprinkles. Don't miss the part that actually protects you. The answer's coming at the very end. Runner-up at number 2, donuts that outlast your bread. They look harmless. A plastic wrapper, a cheerful logo, maybe even the words "fresh" stamped on the box. These donuts are sold as soft, sweet, and convenient, something you can toss in your cart and keep around for a quick snack. But here's the problem. Real donuts go stale in a day. These survive for weeks. That's not magic. It's preservatives like BHT and TBHQ, chemicals also used in packaging to stop oils from going rancid. Lab tests have linked them to kidney strain, and in some studies, even cancer in animals. Still fresh or lab experiment? Bite into one and you'll taste it. The glaze feels more like a sticky film than sugar. The dough inside, greasy, clammy, with a texture closer to freezer-burned sponge than pastry. Instead of that warm bakery smell, you get a faint chemical odor that lingers in the bag. Staff forums have described entire pallets of donuts stacked in warehouses, waiting weeks before hitting store shelves. By the time you unwrap them, fresh is just a slogan. And the frying oil? Usually cheap blends loaded with saturated fats. Once it cools, that oil clings to the dough, coating your fingers in grease that never quite washes off. For seniors already dealing with blood pressure or heart meds, that's a recipe for trouble. Saturated fat plus additives creates what doctors sometimes call a blood pressure bomb. Every bite adds stress to arteries that may already be fragile. One packaged donut can hold as much as 250 calories, 14 grams of fat, and 20 grams of sugar. Eat 2 with your coffee, and you've already matched the calories of a cheeseburger. Except instead of protein, you're getting empty carbs, industrial oil, and preservatives your body doesn't know how to process. These donuts are sold as fun, family treats, or perfect for on the go. The betrayal is that they're designed for shelf life, not your life. What should feel like comfort food instead becomes a long-term health risk, especially for older adults who can't afford extra strain on their kidneys or blood vessels. So skip the plastic-wrapped science projects. If you really want a donut, get one from a local bakery. Eat it the same day in moderation. Real butter, real sugar, real cinnamon, that's at least honest food. This isn't breakfast. It's a factory experiment rolled in sugar. And topping the list, lava cakes that ooze more than chocolate. Finally, at number 1, lava cakes that pour out chemicals instead of magic. They look indulgent. A warm little cake that breaks open into a river of molten chocolate, sold as the height of comfort and romance. But what chains are really serving isn't magic, it's chemistry. Behind the curtain, these cakes are frozen, mass-produced, and filled with stabilizers and emulsifiers to hold that lava in place until you microwave it. The gooey center isn't melted chocolate. It's a factory mixture of corn syrup, palm oil, artificial flavors, and thickeners pumped inside before baking. Still craving that molten bite? One serving packs over 80 grams of sugar. That's triple the recommended daily limit for seniors. And when sugar hits your bloodstream in that dose, it isn't sweet, it's dangerous. Your insulin spikes. Blood sugar surges. If you're on heart or diabetes meds, that clash can push your body to the edge. Crispy shell or chemical disguise? Take a forkful and the truth leaks out. The center doesn't taste rich like cocoa. It hits you with a sickly sweetness, followed by a chemical aftertaste that coats your tongue. Some staff forums even mention frozen pallets of lava cakes sitting in warehouses for months before they're reheated and plated as fresh. That molten core? It's not love, it's logistics. The frying oils used in some versions don't help either. Cheap blends high in saturated fat mean you're not only getting sugar overload but also artery-clogging grease. Combine the two and your body is hit with what doctors call a metabolic storm. Seniors already managing kidney strain, high blood pressure, or cholesterol don't need that kind of surprise. These cakes are sold as a luxury, date night, special occasion, maybe even a treat-yourself dessert. But the betrayal is clear. What should feel decadent is actually a lab experiment dressed up as indulgence. Want proof? Compare labels. Europe has already started moving away from certain artificial flavors still allowed here. Even the FDA has flagged some additives for further study, yet chain restaurants push them out as if it's homemade. But you don't have to give up dessert entirely. A safer fix is keeping a bar of dark chocolate on hand. Break off a couple of squares, maybe pair it with fruit. You get antioxidants, lower sugar, and a flavor that's naturally rich, no chemical sludge required. That molten center? It's a factory trick, not homemade love. But not all desserts are dangerous. Here are two that actually earn a spot on your plate. First, safe pick, fruit salad, the dessert that doesn't fight back. After a list filled with sludge-filled cakes, oil-soaked ice cream, and chemical rolls, this one feels like a relief. A bowl of fresh fruit is colorful, juicy, and alive. No hidden syrups, no preservatives you can't pronounce, just sweetness the way nature made it. Think about it. A ripe strawberry bursts with red juice the moment you bite. A crisp apple slice crunches like it was designed to wake you up. Pineapple brings that sharp, sunny tang. Grapes pop. Blueberries stain your tongue purple. Every bite is vibrant and every bite is real. And that's the opposite of chain desserts that promise luxury but hide chemicals under frosting. Fruit doesn't need food dye. Its colors are built in. Deep orange, bright yellow, dark blue, scarlet red. The variety itself is proof that flavor doesn't need factory tricks. Still fresh or lab experiment? There's science behind the difference. Fruit is naturally rich in fiber, which slows down sugar absorption. That means your blood sugar rises gently, not like a rocket. For seniors, that stability matters. It reduces the crash that comes with cakes or donuts, the same crash that can clash with blood pressure or heart meds. And here's something else. Fiber keeps digestion moving, potassium balances fluids, and antioxidants fight cell damage. Compare that to a lava cake stuffed with 80 grams of sugar, and it's not even close. One bowl of mixed fruit gives you sweetness that heals instead of harms. Fruit isn't just safe, it's protective. A study published in the BMJ found that eating more fruit daily lowers the risk of heart disease and stroke. That's not marketing spin, that's medical research. Yet how often do restaurants push a $9 molten cake instead of handing you a simple fruit plate? It's not perfect, of course. Pre-cut fruit at some buffets can turn into mush. Melons left too long can smell sour. But the fix is simple. Choose whole fruits you wash and cut at home. Or make your own salad, bananas, apples, grapes, strawberries, maybe a squeeze of lemon to keep it fresh. Dessert doesn't have to be a gamble. You can finish a meal with something that brightens your body instead of breaking it down. Fruit gives color and crunch, but the final pick brings creamy balance, tangy yogurt mellowed by golden honey. Second safe pick, Greek yogurt with honey, creamy comfort done right. After a countdown full of rancid oil, chemical frostings, and frozen sludge passed off as cake, this one feels like redemption. No gimmicks, no fake goo hiding inside. Just a thick, tangy yogurt, slow and heavy on the spoon, crowned with a golden drizzle of honey that glistens in the light. Close your eyes and picture it. The yogurt hits first, cool, creamy, a little tart, like it wants to wake up your taste buds instead of numb them with sugar. Then the honey melts in. Smooth, floral, sticky in the best way, turning tang into balance. That's dessert stripped back to basics. This simple bowl packs more than taste. One serving of plain Greek yogurt brings over 10 grams of protein, something most desserts can't touch. Protein keeps you full and slows down sugar spikes. For seniors, that means no sudden blood rush that collides with meds. Add probiotics, and now you're feeding your gut bacteria too, which research shows helps with digestion and even lowers heart risks. Still fresh or lab experiment? Compare that to a chain lava cake. 80 grams of sugar in one shot, triple the daily safe limit. Greek yogurt with honey? Half the sugar, double the benefits, and no chemicals you need a degree to understand. Europe doesn't need stricter bans for this, because nature already set the standard. Some people worry about yogurt being too sour or honey being too sweet, but together they land right in the middle. It's thick but not heavy, sweet but not cloying. Your body doesn't crash after eating it. Instead, it thanks you with steady energy. Should more desserts go back to basics like this? Here's another thing. Yogurt helps bone health because of its calcium. Add honey, and you're not just adding sweetness, you're giving your throat a soothing coat that feels like medicine wrapped in dessert. For seniors dealing with inflammation, diabetes, or blood pressure issues, this is the kind of comfort food that works with the body, not against it. So, buy plain Greek yogurt, not the sugar-loaded fruit on the bottom versions. Add a spoon of real honey, maybe a handful of walnuts or berries if you want a crunch. That's it. Done in less than a minute, and safer than anything you'll find under a heat lamp or freezer box. This is comfort food that actually comforts your body. Don't risk your health on desserts that only look safe. Subscribe now, and I'll show you every week which foods to avoid and which ones actually protect your health.